Executive Director of ArtsCore. We're based in Seattle, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. And here's our mission, which is to revolutionize arts education by igniting the creative power of young people through culturally engaging learning experiences. We work towards a world where barriers to arts education no longer exist, and all young people can creatively lead the transformation of schools, neighborhoods, and beyond. Most important to us is creativity, equity, and collaboration. We've been around for about 20 years. Actually, this is our 20th year anniversary. Um, and we've been, focusing in mostly after school for about 10 years. So that's, as we call OST programming. But recently, in about 2012, we started doing creative schools. So these are our programs. Creative Schools is integrating visual art, dance, theater into a math, science, English class. OST is after school, pre-professional learning in the arts. We also do this at these sites we call art spaces, and that is low income residential housing facilities that are located in different parts of the city. And sometimes those art spaces also include juvenile detention sites. Um, Speaking of young people, Youth Speak Seattle is our youth-run poetry writing circles and poetry slams. Poetry slam is basically a poet slams up. We may have seen it on TV or in the theater, and they speak their poetry aloud, generally to some kind of rhythm. Um, our Arts Liberation and Leadership Institute, AKA ALI, is a 2-week intensive. We're studying social justice, organizing, and artistry. And previously it's been different tracks. We've done breakdancing, we've done music, we've done visual arts, we've done filmmaking, we've done poetry. This year we're adding another element, which is our Learning Immersive Technology program, or LIT, as is the young people in the US say quite often. It's LIT, which is mixed media mentorship for 16 and 19-year-olds. And that program teaches virtual reality, augmented reality, filmmaking, and game design. In fact, the young people just had a showcase last night that went swimmingly. It was beautiful. And then the last thing we do is professional development, which is training teachers, school administrators, staff, and anyone interested in growing their race and social justice practices, and of course their teaching practices. So we were going to have our largest fundraiser of the year for ArtsCore, where we generally raise almost $500,000, $500,000 US dollars. And then we had school, I should say stay-at-home regulations. So this happened Monday. Schools ended the Friday before, and we had to organize an event that was no longer in person with 400, 500 people, but online. So I'm going to play a little excerpt about what we did the day before we had the quarantine happened. And this is just, we did this from our offices in Seattle. These are some of our teaching artists. Wararunga is a trumpeter. Aaron Walker Loud is our drummer. Erica Merritt is on vocals. Brian is on keyboards, and DJ Topspin is on the 1 and 2s, as we say. So we pivoted pretty quickly to do justice. I'll let you listen for a while. I'm sure we can listen to this. For me, this is 7 in the morning. This is a great wake-up song. But I'll continue to what else we were doing. So, the majority of our work happens at school sites and school buildings. So we had to figure out a way to reach the 3,000 plus students in South Seattle, which are mostly low income, mostly Black and brown students, in ways that we've never done in the past. So we're watching live without sound is our teaching artist, Samaya. She's teaching djembe drumming, which is a West African drum. And we've posted about 15 videos online showcasing different art forms. We've also delivered art kits. I'll come back to that. Uh, uh, in the top right corner, you will see our a screenshot of our Instagram lives. We've been doing Instagram live quite a lot, just showcasing the artistry of the teaching artists and trying to bring some light and joy to young kids and young families' lives. And then, of course, we have a coloring book that was designed by one of our teaching artists, Maria, to reflect what we're in, but to add some color in your life. So I want to talk about these art kits. We made these art kits um, for one particular reason. The majority of the young people that we work with have no access or limited access to technology and Wi-Fi. So when schools shut down, they were much disregarded by society. There's no way to teach them, no way to reach them. So we wanted to bring some creativity to their lives. So we dropped off 1,300 art kits in the Highline School District, which is just south of Seattle, and we'll deliver more at sites where free meals are delivered. So because schools were closed, and quite a few of your young people depended on those schools for their meals, breakfast and lunch. Pardon me. We're able to coordinate with the school district to say, when you drop off these free meals, we will also drop off these art kits with directions to how they can get free Wi-Fi in many different languages, activities, and arts-based curricula. So I mentioned the 15 arts videos we've made. We've done coloring books that can be downloaded and colored. Those are also dropped off at the different art spaces. Online arts-based activities, so teaching STEAM using paper, STEAM concepts using paper and triangles and paper triangles, and then building that into a pyramid of sorts. Online classes resumed immediately, especially our learning immersive technology classes, which is digital media class that happens every Tuesday and Thursday. So we're working with high school students from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We took over their school day for since March through yesterday, and just taught them mixed media skills. Our poetry program also immediately transitioned to be online, and having poetry events, writing circles where young people gather together to bounce ideas off each other, to write a poem. That happened pretty quickly. And then at the 30 plus sites that we teach in the schools, we also did live teaching using either integrating art into the classroom or as enrichment. And of course, we've created lesson plans for teachers to use, especially those teachers that did not have a facility teaching online or trying to engage young people through in academia. And that's one of our skills, engaging young people using the arts into academic concepts. And of course, these lesson plans we've designed serve as the arts credit, which students need from high school to graduate. And as a nonprofit NGO, we are the art credit for several schools, mostly alternative high schools. I would say 75% of the alternative high schools in Seattle, we serve and are their arts credits. Throughout all of this, we paid our teaching artists and have never stopped paying our teaching artists throughout this entire fiscal year. That was huge for us because the teaching artists and the gig workers, as we say, do the work, and they're the heart of the work that we do. As an administrator, I just press buttons and click things, but it's the teaching artists that deliver the content and are the heart of the work we do. So the question is, what are we going to do now? Right? We're into the fiscal year, school's out starting next Friday. What are we going to do? So we came up with some ideas. Our creative schools, which is our arts integration program, we call our lab program, which is standing for Learning, Arts, and Belonging, still will be at these 3 elementary schools in South Seattle, and that's combining art during the school day, integrating art into academic classrooms, in addition to family workshops in the evenings and the afternoons, and we'll be doing all of this online. We will continue to deliver art kits. We found that to be wildly successful. Several news outlets in Seattle have reached out and done pieces on our art kits because we are one of the only people working with young people that don't have access to internet and technology. We will continue to work with our alternative high school that are called interagencies, providing curriculum, career exploratory learning, and the credits they need to graduate. Our professional development has actually increased dramatically. We're doing more and more workshops for not just Seattle Public Schools and the Highland Public Schools, which is close to us, but also other districts and other regions of the United States who really are trying to engage in like, how do you teach young people at a time where they don't want to engage? I know in the U.S. the online engagement for students has been about 48%. So more than half of the students are not interacting with their classroom teachers or fellow students and are missing several months of schooling. Our teen leadership programs, which were to connect young people to careers in colleges, we are reimagining them to be more efficient and stronger. In light of current events and the developmental needs of teens, we're trying to think maybe this teen leadership program is also more of a mental health, social emotional learning program, because that's what we find teens need the most, is some camaraderie, which is very hard in quarantine, as we all know around the world. Our summer institute, Arts Liberation and Leadership Institute, will be postponed to fall of 2020, so that we can plan for virtual workshops that will be engaging to youth. All of this is happening, and we're investing in strategic planning to further align our mission and work. We know we had to adapt pretty quickly. We want to make sure we're adapting in the right way, meeting the needs of the community, meeting the needs of the artists that we work with, and meeting the needs of the schools and school districts that are in our purview. And last but not least, we're advocating for policy change. This is really big. It's no surprise to anyone in the world that the U.S. education system is an old education system founded by Horace Mann in the 1800s, really made to create assembly line workers. That form of education still exists in schools today, and predominantly for public schools. And those public schools are mostly filled with Black and brown youth, mostly low-income youth. And it's a school to prison pipeline. We are adamant about redirecting that pipeline so that young people do not go from house to school to prison based on their economics or the color of their skin or their religion or their citizenship status. We want them to offer them many more opportunities. What's happening with Black Lives Matter has really elevated this. There's a moratorium on police in schools. Police have always been in schools, not always, but police have been in schools for a long time in the United States, for several decades, mostly as surveillance and quite often used as force to get young people to quote unquote toe the line and do what they're supposed to do, to be automatons, so to speak. And we're trying to navigate that because we value what young people are thinking, what they want. They're not empty vessels. They already come with a breadth of knowledge, and it's up to us as educators to use that knowledge to further them in their lives and careers. And that's what schools need to be. It needs to be less of a daycare and less of a way to say, like, learn this so you can, make license plates in prisons or work for McDonald's and make, cups in prison. It's more like school should be for youth, and to uplift, engage, unite, and excite. So that's a lot of the work we're doing in terms of educational policy shift, and speaking with our capital here in Washington State, which is Olympia, and then going and bringing that work we're doing here in Washington State to the capital of the United States, DC, to really change educational policy. That's about it for me. Thank you. This has been a really fun, and thanks Alex and Youngwi for inviting me.
You